They say every truck yard has one vehicle nobody wants to touch. Not because it's broken, but because something about it feels wrong. The first time I saw truck 47, it wasn't parked with the others under the lights, but shoved behind the dispatch office, half buried in shadow. Its red paint had faded into rust. One headlight was dim, and the windshield was cracked like a frozen spiderweb. Someone had written 47 on the door with a marker covering the original badge. I had been driving trucks for 7 years and knew this type well. The one nobody drives unless they're desperate. That night I was desperate. It was almost 11:30 p.m. when dispatch called me inside, and the office smelled like stale coffee and old smoke. Papers were piled everywhere under flickering fluorescent lights. Shahid, the night dispatcher, looked exhausted, his red eyes fixed on the desk. Instead of me, he slid a folder across and said it was an emergency run carrying medical supplies to a rural hospital outside the city. When I asked why so late, he only said they needed it. Then he quietly told me I'd be driving 47 and warned me not to stop on the highway. The yard felt colder as I walked toward the truck, the moon hidden behind thick clouds. Inside the cab, the air smelled of dust and something old, like it hadn't been opened in months. When I turned the key, the engine started instantly, which didn't feel right for a truck this old. The radio turned on by itself, filling the cabin with harsh static before I shut it off. As I rolled out of the yard, I noticed the dashboard clock didn't match my phone. I chose not to think about it and kept driving. The highway was empty, silent in a way that felt unnatural. No traffic, no lights, just the engine humming like it was far away. Tall trees leaned close on both sides, making the road feel narrow and watched. My headlights caught a faded sign that read "Do not stop" after this point. I laughed nervously and drove past it anyway. Moments later, my phone lost signal. The road ahead felt darker than before. Not long after, I saw a semi-truck parked on the shoulder, with its hazard lights blinking. There was no driver outside, which immediately felt wrong. As I passed, my headlights lit the cabin, and I saw someone sitting inside with their head down and hands on the wheel. I checked my mirror almost instantly. The truck was gone. The road behind me was empty, like it had never been there. The radio crackled back to life, pouring static into the cab. Then a low, tired voice spoke my name and told me not to stop. My chest tightened as I slammed the radio off. The voice continued anyway, now coming from behind me in the sleeper cabin. It calmly said I had taken 47. I kept my eyes on the road, too afraid to turn around. Fog rolled in suddenly, thick and heavy, swallowing my headlights. Out of it stepped a barefoot woman standing in the middle of the road, dressed in white. I slammed the brakes as she pointed behind me and said he was in there. Her expression changed to fear as she ran toward my door. I hit the gas, and she vanished beneath the hood without any sound or impact. The radio whispered that I had almost stopped. With shaking hands, I opened the folder while driving and saw the maintenance report. Truck 47's last driver was listed as Imran Qureshi, status missing. Beneath it was a handwritten warning telling me not to look if I heard knocking. Almost immediately, knocking echoed from behind my seat. Then my name was whispered softly. Tears blurred my vision, but I kept driving. The knocking eventually stopped, but the feeling remained. The cab felt occupied, like someone was sitting just out of sight. The air felt heavy, watchful, but not hostile. Whatever was there didn't feel angry. It felt like it was waiting, and somehow, that was worse. Lights appeared ahead, revealing an old toll booth with flickering bulbs. A burned man stood beside it and looked straight at me. He said I was late as the barrier lifted on its own. I drove through without slowing. When I glanced back, the booth was gone completely. Soon after, dim yellow lights appeared in the distance. A small rural hospital stood quietly beside the road, its emergency entrance glowing faintly. I parked the truck and shut off the engine. The sudden silence felt unnatural. It was as if the night itself had stopped moving. Inside the trailer, the medical supplies were stacked neatly, exactly as listed. Everything looked normal until I noticed words carved into the metal door warning me not to deliver it. Before I could react, an exhausted nurse stepped outside, and told me they had been waiting all night. Her relief felt real and heavy. The nurse explained that 12 years earlier, a truck carrying medical supplies had crashed nearby. The driver tried to save the cargo, but the truck caught fire. They never found his body. When she said the name Imran, everything finally made sense. The road, the truck, the voice, all of it. Knocking came from inside the trailer once more, followed by a quiet voice asking if he had made it. I told him yes. When he asked if the people lived, I told him they would. Something passed beside me like a relieved breath. The weight that had followed me all night finally lifted. Later, sitting alone in the cab, I noticed a burned, melted keychain on the seat. The name Imran was engraved on the metal ring. My chest tightened as the reality finally sank in. I cried, not from fear, but from understanding. His job was finally done. By sunrise, Truck 47 sat silent in the yard, its engine refusing to start ever again. The road looked normal, peaceful even. Somewhere on that forest highway, a driver had finally finished his last run, and for the first time in years, he had gone home. I've driven trucks long enough to know that roads have memories. Some remember accidents, some remember screams, and some don't let go. Highway 17 was one of those roads. Every driver knew the rule, even the new ones. Don't stop, don't follow anyone, and never answer the radio after midnight. They said it like a joke, but no one laughed. There was something in their eyes when they warned you, something that made your stomach twist. I'd always been curious about it, wondered what could make grown men afraid of an empty stretch of asphalt. Part of me wanted to know, part of me didn't. That night, curiosity didn't matter anymore. I had a job to do. I was hauling medical supplies, oxygen tanks, emergency kits, things people far away depended on to stay alive. The route was faster through Highway 17, and I was already 3 hours behind schedule. My dispatcher had been blowing up my phone all evening, and I couldn't afford another complaint. Snow clouds hung low over the mountain pass, pressing down like a lid on a coffin. Fog rolled in thick waves across the asphalt, swallowing the yellow line. My headlights barely cut through it. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, jaw clenched. I told myself I'd be fine. I'd driven through worse. This was just fog, just a road, just Highway 17. At exactly 1:47 a.m., my GPS went blank. No signal, no reroute, just a straight black road swallowed by fog. I tapped the screen. Nothing. I tried my phone. Dead. Even the dashboard lights flickered like they were struggling to stay on. My pulse quickened. Something felt wrong, deeply, fundamentally wrong. The air inside the cab grew colder, and I could see my breath misting in front of me. Then the CB radio clicked. Not static, a breath. Truck, you shouldn't be here. My heart slammed against my ribs. I hadn't heard another voice on the radio all night. The channel had been dead silent for miles. I grabbed the mic with trembling fingers. Who's calling me? Static crackled and popped. Then the same voice returned, closer this time, like whoever was speaking had moved right up to my window. Turn around, before you see what I saw. I laughed nervously, the sound hollow and fake in the cold cab. I told myself it was a prank or radio interference. Truckers messed with each other all the time. This was nothing, but my truck slowed on its own. The engine didn't die, it struggled, groaning and whining like something invisible was dragging it backward. The fog thickened until my headlights felt useless. It was like driving through milk, through nothingness. I couldn't see the road, couldn't see the trees, couldn't see anything but white emptiness pressing in from all sides. My hands were slick with sweat. My breath came fast and shallow. Every instinct screamed at me to stop, to turn around, to get the hell off this road. But I couldn't. The truck kept crawling forward, pulled by something I couldn't name. Then I saw them. Red tail lights. Another truck sat ahead of me on the road. Relief washed over me like cold water. Another human. Another living driver. I wasn't alone out here. I flashed my lights twice. No response. As I got closer, dread replaced relief. The truck was old. Far older than anything still running on modern highways. Rust ate at its sides like a disease. No company name. No license plate. No markings at all. Its cabin was completely dark. No dashboard lights. No glow from inside. No driver. The CB radio crackled again, louder this time, cutting through the silence like a scream. That's my truck. I felt cold all over. My skin prickled with goosebumps. What do you mean your truck? I asked, voice barely above a whisper. Silence stretched too long, too heavy. I wrecked here 15 years ago, the voice said quietly. Fog like this. Same hour. My mind screamed that this wasn't real. It couldn't be real. Dead men don't drive trucks. Dead men don't talk on CB radios. But the truck ahead began moving. Slowly, smoothly, straight down the road. My hands moved on their own, steering wheel, turning, foot pressing the gas. I followed at a distance, unable to stop myself. It was like being in a dream where your body won't obey. The fog thinned just enough for my headlights to reveal something ahead, something that made my blood turn to ice. A broken bridge, half collapsed, guardrails twisted and hanging into nothing but black empty air. My breath caught in my throat. The old truck didn't slow down. I slammed my brakes, tires screaming against wet asphalt. The truck fishtailed. My cargo shifted. I fought for control. The other truck rolled calmly forward and disappeared over the edge. No crash, no explosion, no sound of metal hitting rock, just gone, like it had never existed. The radio whispered, softer now, almost tender. Don't follow. I did. My engine suddenly roared back to life, stronger than before, like invisible chains had been cut. The dashboard lights blazed, the GPS flickered back on. I didn't think, I didn't breathe. I spun the wheel, turned around and drove faster than I ever had in my life. Hands shaking so badly I could barely hold on, chest burning, tears blurring my vision. The fog chased me. I swear to God it chased me, but I outran it. When dawn finally broke, pale and cold, I reached a small-town gas station and collapsed against the pump. My legs wouldn't hold me. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I looked like a man who'd seen death and barely slipped away. The clerk, an old man with tired, knowing eyes, came outside and looked at me like he already knew everything. You took Highway 17, he said. Not a question. I nodded, unable to speak. You saw the delivery truck. My blood ran cold. He walked me inside without another word and pointed to a faded photograph on the wall behind the counter. A wrecked truck lay twisted near a bridge, half buried in fog and snow. Same rust, same shape, same number on the door. He was delivering medical supplies too, the old man said quietly. Never finished the job. Bridge gave out under him. They didn't find the body for 3 days. I stared at the photo, my vision swimming. The driver's face was barely visible in the frame. Young, determined, just trying to get the job done, just like me. I mailed the supplies back that same day with a note written in shaking hands. Some roads don't forgive. Find another route. I couldn't finish the delivery. I couldn't go back on that road. Not for anything. Not for anyone. People needed those supplies. People were counting on me. But I couldn't do it. I failed them, and I'd have to live with that. I quit night driving soon after. Couldn't do it anymore. Every time the sun went down, I saw that broken bridge. Every time fog rolled in, I heard that voice. Don't follow. I did. My wife didn't understand. My boss thought I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had, but I was alive. That had to count for something. But every winter, at 1:47 a.m., my radio still crackles. Even though I don't drive anymore, even though the truck's been sold, even though I sleep in a quiet house far from any highway, I wake up to static, to breathing, to that voice, and I swear I hear someone making sure I don't follow. I think he's still out there, still delivering, still trying to finish the job he never could, and maybe he's making sure no one else ends up like him. I don't know if that makes him a ghost or a guardian, but I know this. Some roads take more than they give, some debts can't be paid, and some drivers never make it home. If you ever find yourself on Highway 17 after midnight, don't stop, don't follow. And whatever you do, don't answer the radio, because out there in the fog, on that cursed stretch of asphalt, a rusted delivery truck still rolls forward, headlights dark, cabin empty, driven by a man who died trying to save lives. And he's still trying, still driving, still warning, forever trapped on Highway 17, the road that never lets go.